You're halfway down the sidewalk on a quiet morning walk. Your dog is a few steps ahead, nose low to the ground, investigating every interesting smell the neighborhood has to offer. A mailbox, a patch of grass, something mysterious near the curb that clearly deserves at least 10 seconds of serious research. Then suddenly, your dog pauses. They turn their head, and they look back at you. Not for long, just a quick glance, a split second of eye contact. Then they turn forward again and continue walking like nothing happened. A few minutes later, it happens again. Your dog moves ahead, stops, and checks behind them. Most owners barely notice this moment. It feels small, almost automatic. But that tiny glance over the shoulder may be doing something important inside your dog's brain. Because for a social animal, like a dog, walking together isn't just movement. It's coordination. Most people explain this behavior in a very simple way. Your dog is checking if you're still there, or maybe they're waiting for permission to keep going. Some owners even assume it means the dog is a little uncertain or overly dependent. But if you watch closely, something interesting appears. Dogs don't look back in panic. They're not stopping completely. They're not asking for a command. The glance is quick, calm, almost routine, which suggests it isn't about insecurity. Researchers who study canine social behavior think this moment may be something else entirely. A social check-in. A small neurological habit dogs use to keep track of the most important member of their group while moving through the environment. And on a walk, that group is just the two of you. To understand this glance, researchers began studying how dogs track their owners during shared activities. In 2015, scientists at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna conducted experiments on how dogs use eye contact while interacting with humans. They noticed something striking. Dogs frequently looked back at their owners even when they were free to explore the environment. This behavior wasn't random. Dogs that had strong attachment bonds with their owners looked back more often, especially when moving through unfamiliar spaces. Psychologists call this behavior social referencing. Human children do something very similar. When a toddler walks into a new room, they often look back at their parent. Not because they're lost or afraid, but because their brain uses the parent's presence as a reference point for safety and decision-making. Dogs appear to use humans in the same way. When your dog glances back at you during a walk, their brain may be briefly checking the status of their primary social partner. Are you still there? Is everything calm? Is the group still together? Once the brain confirms that the trusted individual is nearby, the dog continues exploring the environment. That quick glance isn't hesitation. It's the nervous system quietly keeping the social bond synchronized. Beneath that quick glance is a chemical system quietly shaping how your dog experiences the walk. When dogs move through the world with a trusted human nearby, their brains operate under the influence of oxytocin, the same hormone that supports bonding between parents and children. But oxytocin doesn't just create affection, it changes how the brain allocates attention. You can think of it like a biological spotlight. In the dog's brain, oxytocin increases sensitivity to signals coming from one specific individual. You, your voice, your movement, your position in space all become more neurologically significant than background stimuli. That's why dogs can appear deeply focused on the environment, sniffing grass, tracking smells, exploring sidewalks, yet still maintain awareness of where you are. Every time your dog glances back and briefly meets your eyes, the brain receives a small confirmation signal. Visual contact, even for a second, reinforces that the trusted partner is still present. This interaction strengthens the oxytocin loop between dog and human. Stress hormones stay low, so the nervous system remains calm. Exploration continues safely. In other words, that tiny look back isn't interrupting the walk. It's helping your dog's brain maintain the chemical balance that makes exploration feel safe in the first place. To understand why dogs do this, we have to step far outside the modern neighborhood sidewalk. Long before leashes and paved streets, the ancestors of dogs moved through the world in coordinated social groups. Wolves traveling together constantly monitor one another's position. When the group moves through unfamiliar terrain, individuals briefly glance back to make sure the pack is still aligned. It's not hesitation, it's group navigation. Staying together increases survival. If a member strays too far behind, the pack slows down. If a leader moves too far ahead, you others check in visually before continuing. When dogs began living alongside humans around 15,000 years ago, this coordination instinct adapted to a new kind of group. Instead of tracking other wolves, dogs began tracking humans. Archaeological evidence shows that early dogs traveled, hunted, and slept alongside human groups. Over generations, the animals best able to monitor human movement became the most successful companions. So when your dog glances back at you during a walk today, their brain may be following an ancient rule. Never move too far from the individual who leads the group. What's easy to overlook is that this tiny behavior doesn't just help your dog stay connected, it also affects you. When your dog turns and briefly makes eye contact during a walk, your brain receives a small social signal. The studies in human-animal interaction show that even short moments of eye contact with a bonded dog can trigger oxytocin release in humans as well. Your nervous system reads that glance as social recognition, a moment of shared awareness. That's one reason walking with a dog often feels calming in a way that walking alone does not. The experience becomes a subtle form of co-regulation, two nervous systems adjusting to each other's presence. Your dog checks in with you, and your brain quietly responds by relaxing into the shared movement. Because this behavior is tied to attachment and awareness, changes in it can sometimes reveal shifts in your dog's internal state. Dogs that regularly glance back during walks are usually comfortable coordinating movement with their owner. Their brain is calmly tracking the social partner that anchors the activity. But if a dog that normally checks back suddenly stops doing it, becomes unusually distant on walks, or avoids eye contact altogether, it can sometimes indicate something subtle. Stress, environmental changes, distraction from new stimuli, or even mild discomfort can alter how much attention a dog gives to social signals. This doesn't automatically mean something is wrong, but dogs often communicate emotional changes quietly, through small adjustments in familiar patterns of behavior. So the next time you're walking down the sidewalk and your dog pauses for a moment, and they turn their head just slightly. That quick glance back at you may seem small, almost automatic, but inside your dog's brain, it's doing something meaningful. They're checking the one presence that anchors their world. You're still there. The group is still together. The path forward is still safe. And if you've ever noticed your dog suddenly slowing down to match your walking speed, the neuroscience behind that behavior reveals another quiet way. Dogs synchronize their lives with the humans they trust most.